Hello and welcome to the Voices of Pueblo. This is the 45 Degrees podcast, which will come out once every month, focusing on the Pueblo Levee Mural project and the amazing artists behind those. Today, our episode is with Cynthia Ramu. This episode is brought to you by the Pueblo Star-Journal. We are a hyper-local, non-profit news organization right here in Pueblo, Colorado, putting out a paper every month. You can check us out by searching pueblostarjournal.org or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Let's jump into the episode.
Welcome to the first episode of the Voices of Pueblo 45 Degrees series, where we work with the artists to dig deeper into the meaning of each mural making up the Pueblo Levee project. Running along the Arkansas River, these murals lean back 45 degrees and are up to 28 feet tall and nearly 4 times as wide. This is a special bonus episode where we get to talk with Cynthia Ramu about the historical context of the Pueblo Levee project and each of the murals making up the project. For someone who hasn't heard of the Pueblo Levee Mural project, can you tell us what the project is about?
The project is about, it's about creating murals along the Arkansas River. It's also historically where the actual wall that we paint on was built after the 1920 flood, and it was built pretty fast. And so over time, I'll bet you someone in the 30s and the 40s went out there and was doodling whatever on the wall, Mary Loves Johnny, or all kinds of little things. So it kind of grew like a virus. And about in the 70s, a lot more artists started working bigger and adding more. And it evolved into being a legal place to paint. So along the beautiful Arkansas River and in downtown Pueblo.
And what is your connection to this project?
Well, my connection is I painted on the wall back in the late 80s, and a bunch of artists that were friends of mine, like back in the early 80s, we're all talking about the levee while I'm in Denver and they're in Pueblo, and they're bragging about what they're doing. And no one ever said how tall the wall was. It's just they were meeting up and they were working on the wall. And as time went on, I only saw photos of what was on the levee for a show in Denver on Capitol Hill as the pictures went down. And it was like, whoa, that sounds very interesting to me. So my buds were supposed to get back to me, and a few years went by to come and paint. And, of course, I'm afraid of heights. And I wasn't a mural painter, but I was graduating from the Institute of Art in Denver. So, it was like, I'm interested in this. So I actually saw the wall from the train yard in the middle of the winter from the top, from the 4th Street Bridge. And we're looking at it from the top down, not looking at it across the river. It's a different perspective. And it was like, I could feel my knees shaking. So I was like, tell me when you're going to paint. I want to come back. I'll bring you free paint. Tell me. And not until like 1988, I said, I'll bring you paint. When are you going to be there? So I showed up with all this donated paint from Denver and Boulder, like cases, but half of it was automotive paint. So anyway, they gave me a brush, pointed at a mural, and they left me. And it was like, you're supposed to show me how to do this. So actually, I figured it out from scratch, and then about 2 hours later, I fell in the river and almost drowned by I-25. But 2 guys next to me hauled me out on my belly, and the end of May when it's really high. So there was a waterfall I wasn't going to go over. So I learned really quick, and I was really mad that I'm going to learn how to do this. Mm-hmm. So, so it started then, and I still lived in Denver, but I went home visually inspired. I kept thinking 3-dimensional, we can build something or we can create the illusion. So I was on fire with ideas based on what was out there. And I'm like, okay. So I went home and I had like a vision of my first piece. And it was what the Earth looked like from the moon.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective. It's kind of like Monet, where he painted from the river out,
Right.
instead of from the I guess the beach and onward.
Yeah, to me, it was like, creating that illusion and creating that depth and making it surreal. And of course, I'd only seen 3 or 4 pieces on the wall because I hadn't really seen the whole wall from the other side. So I started a piece off of I-25. The rain came, washed me and it off the wall in the spring. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go home and figure this out. And then I came back and I did it under the 4th Street Bridge. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I gridded it. I made a plan. And I really took what I learned as an art student to create illusions and to bring it alive. So I have this fantastic photo of me actually painting the doorknob on the door, and it looks like I'm turning it, and then it's a real doorknob. So after that, I'm like, whoa, I'm going bigger. So, of course, I didn't live here. So I actually went home and wrote a grant, and I love history. I've been always moved by history, and I'd always drive by the mill, and I noticed there wasn't a bunch of smoke out there anymore. So I researched the history of the steel mill going back to the 1880s and worked at the library every time I came to Pueblo, and I came up with a dedication to the steel workers, and I got my grant.
Oh, nice.
I probably made $2.50 an hour.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah. But, the wall used to be 65 feet tall most of the time, which is pretty big.
Yeah. I think the climbing wall over at the YMCA is only 40 up.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And right now it's like, above the water, it's about 28, 29, depending on the time of year. Mm-hmm. So I did all this research, and I actually had 3 different murals, and it was through the Colorado Council for the Arts and Humanities with Art in Public Places. So the mural was going to be 120 feet long by 65 tall.
Oh, wow.
And I did the grid. I just did a grid, and it made it really easy so I could bring in 5 or 6 different elements of the mural. And also I learned to collaborate with the steelworkers because I ran out of money, and the union helped me raise money because I was a bartender down in Gardner, and my bartender buddy worked at the mill. So I really kept, as I kept going and learning how to bring this whole idea to the community and ask for help. And so CF and I actually came to me, and we had a bunch of drama because there was a woman's newspaper in Pueblo and said I was bringing the life back into the mill. And the CEO was like, I'm going to show you how alive the mill is. So I got a tour with a bodyguard with my 15-year-old son, so it was lots of adventures. And then they paid for my reception when my mural was done. And I only gave myself 2 months to paint.
Oh, wow. That's pretty...
That's
grueling hours, I imagine.
Yes. I was very tan and very blonde by then and about 15 pounds lighter. But the possibility was really amazing, and that's what the murals are. When I bring artists out there, whether they've ever done a mural or not, they're like addicted. They already know what they want to do next time. They can't wait to finish this one and, get the falling and the slipping and the dropping and the whatever mistakes out of the way. Mm-hmm. And so I feel blessed to be able to be working with almost all the artists. We have about 60 artists working on the wall. So they're at all different levels and they collaborate. And it takes a lot of expertise or, helpful hints just to be able to do a piece and execute it quickly. Perspective gets kind of lost sometimes out there from that 45-degree angle.
Oh, yeah.
And the foreshortening, which just creates, where things are distorted. And so in the viewpoints, there's all different angles to be able to see it. So we're so lucky now we have cell phones, because I used to dream about some way of talking to someone on the other side, walkie-talkie, and having drone footage. So we have like a whole village of photographers, writers, supporters, paint companies, and we're just growing all the time. So after 2 years, we've got pretty close to 100 murals on the wall. Used to be, we were lucky to have one a year. Mm-hmm. And just moving along, and a lot of people do want to help. And I have engineers come to me, or people that go, I want to do it, but I'm afraid. So, yeah,
It's interesting that, I guess the gratification you can get from the process of finishing it is outweighs the deterrence of having to be up at those heights and have the risk of falling in, and et cetera, et cetera. Shannon was talking about having had a heat stroke one time on there. So, you have to factor in the temperature of when you're painting up there.
Yeah, and actually paint will not cure below 50 degrees. And so, there are those that try to defy nature a little bit. But, and Shannon really covers up a lot, which is great. And at the same time, too, black absorbs, white reflects. And, when you're well insulated, your own body is just going up. So she was out there in the wind, the cold, the heat, all the time, no matter what, dedicated. And so for people, the younger you are, like I was out there getting burnt to a crisp in the summer, which, June, July, and August are the most hateful times to be out there after 10 in the morning. So I used to get up at 5, go out, and then leave, go sleep, come back. And so, yeah, it's not an easy task.
Oh, yeah, certainly. I can't imagine it'd be too easy. It reminds me of a question that popped up in my head. What kind of safety gear is there, before and now, the differences?
Before, actually, I personally, most people I knew would just throw a rope and not tie off.
Oh.
I never harnessed. And after a while, most of the guys that had done it before, they just pounce on the wall. They might use the rope to tie off their paint can. So, yeah, I had lots of people who were splunkers and on, and they're watching going, I'd have to have my harness. Mm-hmm. Whereas right now, it's been the best for most artists. So what's great is we started with a lot of people who are trained rock climbers. Azaria, one of the artists that's worked with us from the beginning, she's actually trained people to rock climb. And so she can go out and give them a crash course. Hopefully they don't crash. Just on the safety stuff, since she has a lot of experience walking on the wall, 99% of the time you're going to trip over wet paint or your own rope. Mm-hmm. So I would get to where I never really had a rope, except when I was tired and trying to go back up the wall. But they're all learning, and they're all figuring it out. So it does help a lot. And knock on wood. I tell people the story where I fell in. Mm-hmm. And actually, I've only had someone jump in, and they were on medication. So, when they're really aware of their feet and their body and redistributing how they're walking out there, or some people go barefoot for about a day, and then they really realize the damage that they've done.
Oh, yeah.
Or some of them are very agile. So it's everyone's journey and adventure to figure out what really works and what doesn't work.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's interesting. I used to rock climb. So I'm pretty familiar with that experience of the safety guidelines and not crossing ropes and, all that. I can understand actually why you would want to go barefoot, but I would opt for climbing shoes personally. But just, it makes sense to want to feel the wall a little better. But
yeah, like being centered out there, actually it's almost like it's like a meditation experience being out there. So you're not going to see a bunch of people on the wall at the same time. And most artists don't want someone else there so that they can really be in tune. I mean, having the water behind you, the fish jumping, the osprey flying over, Pikes Peak not far. It's almost like we were joking, my team, that it's the next 14er.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, I'll do my Subaru commercial sometime, or have someone do it and pull up in their brand new Subaru with Pikes Peak behind them after they've climbed up the wall. So, yeah, it brings a lot of people out to watch. It inspires people to see things happening. I have so many artists that were dreaming of doing this since they were little 5 and 6-year-olds because their parents fished or they walked on the river, down along the river. So, or some of them will paint and then go fly fishing for a while and then go back on the wall.
Hey y'all, Ben Kaysen here. Just want to pop in and let you know we have another podcast here on the Voices of Pueblo with John Riston. Came out on Wednesday. Go check out that podcast after you're done here and keep an eye out for more great podcasts right here on the Voices of Pueblo. Let's get back into the episode.
It sounds like a really rewarding experience, because it's challenging, the process, to be able to execute that. But then it's also meditative, like you're talking about, to be able to be out in nature and create art. And then as well as the community effort, Shannon was talking about how some fishermen helped her get out of the water one time when she fell. And you said that as well. And then the steel mill workers helping with you and throwing the reception. It's not just artists, doing their own thing out there. It's a community watching artists and helping artists execute their vision and make, the levee a place of art.
Right. Or heart.
Exactly.
It's the heart of Pueblo, the river runs through it. And, it does bring people together, and it does bring people who are not artists be able to connect and experience. I have a lot of people who just ride their bikes that shoot photos and just send them to us. Or they want to know when the artists are out there, and originally when I first started, I was able to drive up behind the wall from the train yard, and I would work with the train yard, the guys in the tower. So they're watching me all the time. So I'd call them and check on the schedule so I wouldn't get stuck jumping a train. But, and then that all changed. So they were watching, they were helping, or security could come out and help me at any minute. So there was an eye on it all the time. And I didn't get to drive out to the levee most of the time. I had to walk in with all my gear, walk it in, walk it out 1 to 2 to 3 miles.
Oh, wow.
And so we tried to figure out ways to hide our paint. And there were plenty of times where somebody was out there messing around and found our paint and threw it on someone's mural. So there were challenges. And 65 feet is pretty tall on a 45. And that when they were pouring that wall, they were pouring it as fast as they could back in the 20s. And it was inconsistent. So you could look at the wall and it would wobble. And, it would bend. So sometimes it was steeper than that. It's right now about 32 to 45. So, and we had traction on the wall before.
Oh, yeah.
There's no traction out there.
No. Yeah. So there's some pros and cons. I imagine the distortion from the uneven pour also made it difficult for murals.
Yeah, and there are areas, I just talked to another artist yesterday, and she was looking at another artist's mural, and she realized how smooth the wall was, where there are spots where it's inconsistent, where there's a blob, or they tried to grade it a little bit, and it's rougher. So it makes it hard sometimes, or there's not really cracking out there now, but it took a while when they took it out and rebuilt for it to cure. So there were areas that they had to give a lot longer time. So we were sitting for pretty close to 2 years to 3 years waiting for the moment where we could do a section, because it was in phases. There were 5 phases with the Pueblo Conservancy District. And so I work with them also. So I'm like here and here, and then kind of a middleman.
So I wanted to talk about the when they redid the levee and we lost a lot of murals. Having been in the beginning where the murals were first popping up, and then now where we're revitalizing that project, having the intergenerational influences of, hey, I did that and my mural got destroyed, but we're back here again and rebuilding it and having a new generation of murals show up. How does that feel for you? How does that emotionally connect with you?
Well, there's a lot of emotions in there, even for the wall to go down as an entity. I was told that at the last minute, and I don't know. I guess I popped up one day and I'm the queen, or I'm the it, because I really worked really hard for years to get it to be connected. And the last thing I ever thought would be the destruction of all the art on the wall, because there are pieces no one knows who did them, or people just renovated them, or they created something off of something somebody else did. And luckily, I was trying to document, and there were people that were documenting. So I have a whole archives that I've transferred to the Rawlings Library, to their archives digitally. And of course, KTSE in 95, we did a documentary that was on PBS with what the wall looked like then, thank goodness. So there were 5 or 6 of those documentaries. Now it's just it's different, but it's new, like everything, because everything changes. And this energy with the artists now, most of them weren't even alive when I first started. And a lot of them actually get to make their work happen on the wall. And I'm just excited that I'm around to be able to be a part to help that happen. And I want to help create a legacy from the old to the new and let it grow, find new leaders, find more people that can help support this vision. Because in the beginning, when I got started, I'm like, hey, you guys, what's the name of this? The levee. And I'm like, how about we name it? So, yeah, and it's something that's growing and morphing all the time, and I have artists down in Levita. I've got artists in Denver, Albuquerque, Colorado Springs. We just had someone enter a call for artists. I've done 7 of them so far, who's in Ontario. And I'm
wow. It's quite the reach.
It is a reach, and he does murals all over up there. And I'm like, you really want to come here? And he goes, yeah, I want to be on your wall. So, yeah, just keep bringing it. So trying to reach out to people beyond us. And right now, too, we're trying to break the record for the U.S. So I have to do a lot of math.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's math from the beginning and math every day, just to kind of keep track of how much footage we've done, how far we got to go, and keeping people inspired to be part of our team to make that happen for the U.S. and then for the world record, because we kept it for 23 years, which is amazing.
Oh, yeah, certainly. That's impressive.
And we only lost it because the wall went down.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, it is inspiring, if bittersweet, to know that, the previous muralists that were a part of that now no longer physically archived artwork are infusing their influence and their history and their expertise into these younger artists and being able to keep the spirit up with the mural project.
Right. Well, in that vision, in the beginning in about 78, the Teehee artists were probably mostly CSU students or USC students, because they had their eye on that wall for a long time because it was illegal. It was jail, and it was a fine per person. So they calculated it in the middle of the night. They're out there in their socks. They actually got like a Safeway cart and chopped it off so they could hoist the paint down. They had people in the river with flashlights, and they had whistle signals, and them putting that fish out there. So in the beginning, it was just a fish on the wall. And someone heard them. The police came. They scurried. The police found the vehicle with the design on the front seat, impounded it, thought they caught him. And right then, it was becoming legal to paint on the wall with a permit. And the Teehee artists, they made history just thinking big. And that fish became a fish in a bathtub. And then slowly but surely, there's a faucet, and there's, the water spouts, the hot and the cold. And then all of this abstract art grew off of that like a virus. And people were coming and just adding. And some of it wasn't coordinated. And a local artist, Dave Roberts, who was here at the university teaching, he heard about this. And he actually got recycled paint. So recycled paint in the state of Colorado started with him and the levee. And recycling now, that's all going back to Dave Roberts, who was a visionary, and he just liked to go out there and just paint wherever needed to be done. And that's how I got involved. So, my magic word is possibility. Do it, and if it doesn't work, go back and try it again, or figure out what you need to do. And there are artists that get on that wall and start a mural and go, I don't think I can finish this, or I'm going to come back. So it's just like life. It's a good experience in life just to go for it. So I hope I answered your question.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, that sounded great, actually. It is inspiring that to have such an experience on the wall, to be able to connect with the process that strongly, and then on a larger scale, connect with the community that's doing these things. And then what it provides for the community, this bigger picture idea of taking something that's probably intended to be strictly functional, and then seeing art in that is really inspiring to be able to, I guess it's refreshing to see that different perspective of from someone who, how am I trying to say this? It's really refreshing to be able to see how people can execute a vision that you would never have expected to see, something so beautiful and of so functional space. And so I think it represents a lot of what Pueblo is trying to, it is throughout its history, what Pueblo has been trying to do, which is infuse art in every crevice.
It's kind of like passion. And, the beauty of it too is, I love history. And Shannon, the history research that she did, it was like, I wish I could replicate that or really hand that to other people. I moved to Pueblo because of the murals, and I was painting here before I even lived here, and I live right across from my murals where I used to be able to walk and see my pieces every day. And at the same time, doing historic murals on the wall right now, it's really getting people to think and dig into what history. We are so rich in this community with being a key center because of the Arkansas River for actually indigenous and different tribes and different cultures and, transition through time, the industrial age, and on and on and on. So I love being here. And when I lived in Denver, I'd go back and they're like, what in the world would you find there? And it's like, I'm down there doing drummings on the prairies. I'm out there walking through labyrinths. We're doing all kinds of things connected to the earth and celebrating just this community and being in this community. And it's so diverse. And I think having that, it's almost like it's rising. Pueblo's rising and starting to blossom and bloom with a lot of that history. And the murals on the levee is helping connect that.
It's certainly a conversation, I did not know quite a bit of the history of the St. Mary Corwin Hospital that Shannon was talking about. And it opened my eyes as to what the mural was speaking about. And so it certainly creates a dialogue that we need,
Yeah.
There's speaking of that richness in our community, it definitely opens that up.
It does. And it goes all 7 directions, 360. And just like yesterday, I was at the board meeting and we approved 3 historic murals. And one is the Audeby legacy about Charles Audeby, and which goes on and on and on. And also the old monarch, about the old monarch tree, which was known as the hanging tree.
Oh, yes, I've heard of this.
Right. So, that could be a sticky thing, but the tree was like 386 years old. Union Avenue was created. The city was built around that tree. And, folklore and legend has, on and on and on. I won't go on, but pulling for us to have a tree that probably many, many people sat under that tree to shade them. I believe its circumference was 28 feet. It was 88 feet tall, and there used to be trolley cars that they put in, I believe, after the tree went down. So, we're celebrating a tree, but that tree was almost as old as, Wildheart in Scotland, which is 500 years old now. So, we need to get back to the earth. We need to get back to our stories. We need to get back to nature. We need to care. And this is such a great vehicle for bringing people together and create conversations and create new history. So everyone gets to be a part of that.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm proud. I'm very proud. I'm proud to be able to, I used to think, man, how can I be like a director or a coordinator and get more murals going at the same time, and so it's happening. And I'm excited about it. And I'm a retired middle school teacher, art teacher. I had all my 8th graders, actually. I trained them to study public art for a whole semester, and they designed murals, and we used to put them off of I-25. So right now we're all getting back together, and they're in their late 20s. I've already trained them, and we're creating a mural for some of our students to honor them who have passed. And so they're lining up like crazy. So we're meeting next week for a collaboration. So there are so many possibilities and stories, and they're visual stories that are going on the wall so that they speak to different people in different kinds of ways.
That's a great thing to be able to weave in so many stories into a mural and to be able to keep ties with our community and keep ties with the people we knew in our past.
Right. To honor, celebrate, and be thankful in a positive way, a positive, constructive way. So, and all of these artists, I introduce them. We try and I do a little get together, potluck, fire pit gathering, and half of them have never met each other. except when they're painting next to each other. And it's like a sister or cousin. They become family. And that is great. I feel like a big mom.
That's what Shannon was saying. You're the mom figure.
Yeah, and every artist is different. So I'm always looking forward to meeting a new artist, hearing where they are, where they want to be, and what they want to do. And I'm on call 24/7, and it's fantastic. I'm lucky.
That's great.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see what's coming up. We have a lot coming. We've probably got another 5 or 6 historic murals going up, and they are from 4th Street all the way to Main Street. And there's a new pedestrian bridge over there. I don't know if you know that. So there's going to be a loop out there, and they're working on putting lighting on those bridges. So, lots coming up, and lots of footage getting put in. So I want to invite artists that would like to get involved. You can contact me. I'll give you my contact information. We're on Facebook. They can easily look up Pueblo Levee Mural Project. We have a Pueblo Mural Painters page where there's a lot more talking about with the artists and sharing, and a lot of supporters in the community. I think we have 2.5K followers. And the other one is Just Like It, and you'll get updated. And that has a lot of historic pictures and a lot of historic videos and media there. And I'm meeting with the Hassan School of Business when I leave here, and with some seniors to design a levee app.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm sure their idea and my idea, I'm trying to mesh them together so that anyone in the world can actually go to that app and get the history, actually look at the old art, the new art, and what's coming up. If they're coming to Pueblo too, have a GPS set up so they can go out there. Like I have a big vision where you could actually open it up, GPS on like Shannon's piece, and you have an option of an old mural and a new mural, and you get the history on each. So it supports the artist, it supports the old artists, and it just like makes it happen for people. So they want to come here. So that's tourism at the same time. So
and it provides recognition for the new artists and the old artists.
Yeah, I want to support artists. I want to support even new collaborations and finding sponsors, because believe me, these artists are coming with no money. Most of them, their murals take a little longer because I've got single moms raising kids, working jobs, and they still come out there on their day off or after they get off of work. And, finding more sponsorships. The Conservancy offers like a $250 credit at DNS Paint to help them get some of their paint. And DNS has worked with the levee for 35 years. Getting some more support from the community would help a lot. I had a bunch of artists in Denver that were all pumped up, but we never talked money. When we started on the wall, they're like, I make $5,000 to $6,000 to $10,000 a mural. So finding an in-between like that, finding some more sponsorship and some more support.
For sure. Yeah, that would go a long way.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I had a question, actually. How close are we to returning back to those records?
We're probably, for the U.S. record, I'd say we're about a third of the way.
Okay.
And that's Wichita, Kansas. And so I believe we've got to get over 189,000 square feet. So we've got a big area on the west side that needs to be done. So I'm working on that becoming a collaborative. And I would say another 2 years for the world record. My goal is for us to get that U.S. record soon. Trick is theirs is on silos.
Oh.
Both of them are on silos. And so, the other one is in South Korea. And it's a series of silos, and they had big corporations finance each silo and a famous artist. So in Wichita, they pretty much just covered the surface they have. So once we beat their records, they have no more surface.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we will.
Yeah.
So we're just going to keep going. So when we break it, we're going to break it good. So I'd rather keep a tighter rein on the goal, like 2 years easily. And, our weather right now is a lot colder than it was last year. So we were painting in January.
Mm-hmm.
We were painting in February. And, we'll just see what we got. So, but again, I can share the link for people to apply. There's an online application, pueblolevee.org. And they can also, everything comes to me and ask questions or whatever. So it's all about collaborating. So I've got a few artists right now that have an idea. They don't know how to paint. Hook them up with another artist and make it happen.
Make that record.
Make that record. Yeah, definitely. Bigger, better. As big as we can. So actually, I also work with Pueblo Friends of the Arkansas River. And I run a lantern parade. And so we actually do a lantern parade, the solstice, during the winter and the summer. So we're hoping to eventually have like a mural festival, maybe in the springtime, but we bring a lot of people down to the river. So in the winter, it's a little simpler, but you got to be out there with the bridge lit up and a lot of music, a lot of artists. And in the summertime, we'll have music all day. It's like a 10 to 12 hour day right below the Tea Palace off of 4th Street down at Pillar Park. And so that's to bring people to the river and get people to come out there and explore being there. And 90% of the time, people are like, I didn't know this was here. I didn't know there was a bridge. I didn't know how to get here. And so we work with the running club. We also are building what we're calling right now a sculpture park along the top of the levee. So we're working with 3D artists at the same time, and a lot of them are 2D artists. So there's lots of possibility just to get people to come to the river, come out and enjoy the river. Mm-hmm. And if you would like to paint on the levee, we would like your ideas. I don't know if you know this, that along the Arkansas, they used to have the Colorado International Surfing Competition.
Oh, wow.
And so because they did put in a kayak course, there's 8 drops right there. There are more surfers that are coming from around Colorado than there are kayakers. So we're trying to, encourage. I have some of those surfers that are muralists.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, the crossover is just amazing.
It's interesting how much it crosses over with people who enjoy nature and also paint.
Right.
And then the mural, like we said, is the perfect meshing of that.
Yeah. We actually have kayakers or paddleboarders that have got the best footage of the murals along the levee.
Oh, yeah. I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good vantage point.
So they started, Pueblo Pace, Active Pace, started collaborating with the artists when they finish some murals, and they make sure they're either in the boat or they're in a floaty next to them talking about the pieces as they float by.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, anyway, I'm sure somebody out there is going to come up with some more ideas. So we invite people to participate in any kind of way. A sponsorship would be sweet. Most murals are going for like $4,000 to $5,000 right now for the artist to design it, execute it, and the materials. And that's the low end. So the next one going up is Johnny's Boiler Shop, which is Shannon Palmer. And then Celeste Velasquez will be doing the Audubon. And then we have a collaboration with El Pueblo Museum that will be doing Teresita which is the woman that started the trading post in Pueblo. And that whole story started with her just building that as a vision. So there you go. I mean, it goes from one thing to the other. I mean, actually, I'd have to share. I've been in on the beginning. So it's like the permit process used to be, meet me, I get the permit, I get you to write it, you can go paint tomorrow. Now it's more formal. It's, people do complain that it's like jumping hoops. Some artists don't want to do that. But I've tried to work with the Conservancy to keep it simpler. And at the same time, doing the historic out there is so important. And yeah, I'll remember what I forgot next time.
Yeah. It just seems like there's so many gears turning into making this happen, to making people come out and see these things, on top of having artists come out and complete their works and complete the mural record, and be able to create it as be able to mesh functionality and artistry and nature.
Right. Well, and what I've just remembered that I forgot was, I always have, or we have a lot of challenges, and the challenges were like where the historic is. Okay, so it's like that was the best spot where all the murals were, and I'm like, dang it. And at the same time, it was like, well, we need to have that in a timeline, so we're going to start with. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to start with? 1500, 1200, dinosaur age? And it was like, no, it can't happen that way. So we just, as the first artist came in, it was Shannon. Shannon went on there first. The next one was the Steelworks, on and on. So as soon as you show up with your artwork, you're going to get the next spot. So it's kind of random, but I think it makes it interesting. As long as it's historic and it's pulling people in to see what's new. And also during the summer solstice, we have artists painting on the wall so people can come out and see what it takes to work on the wall, meet the artists, see the murals happening. So there you go. So yeah, there's always a little bit of something that makes things a little interesting, but I'm ready.
That's great.
So yeah, thank you. This has been great.
Yeah, thank you for just providing so much insight on the Pueblo Levee project.
Good.
There's a lot there that I wasn't entirely aware of, and all of the events that happened there that I was not.
And they're growing.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody wants to be out there right now. And, we had 65 vendors on the top of the levee last summer. And it was crazy because it was artists, it was all kinds of stuff. But, nature wasn't our friend that day, and the wind came along. And, it just said, nope, it's going to change today. So, but I mean, it's real time, and so many people, I recommend go out there and walk, go out there and take photographs, go out there and paint, go out there and ride your bike, go run. We got skateboarders coming out there now. And so to me, that's my happy place. I just soon get my lunch and sit on the wall and see what shows up.
Thank you, Cynthia, for taking the time to speak with us about the history and significance of the Pueblo Mural Levee project. If you are interested in participating, be sure to hit up the website pueblolevee.org and contribute to making history. Otherwise, make sure to check out the murals along the Arkansas River and get out in nature and get in on the conversation.
Thank you so much for listening to the 45 Degrees series, brought to you by the Pueblo Star-Journal, a subseries of the Voices of Pueblo. We'll have new episodes every month of the 45 Degrees series, so keep an eye out for that. We've got a great episode coming with Shannon Palmer. That'll be coming out in about 2 weeks from now. Additionally, we've got great episodes for the normal Voices of Pueblo series that'll be coming out right here. We have episodes with Gregory Howell and John Riston that have already dropped and are ready for you to listen to. Go check it out right here on your podcast platform and let us know what you think. Reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or check us out at pueblostarjournal.org. Thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of your day.